The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
Now, do I have to unmute myself or is it? Guns up!
Giddy up! Welcome to the Failure to Stop podcast. We are broadcasting live today on our YouTube channel, the Failure to Stop channel, and Mike the Cop Facebook. So I believe that the underpaid producer dropped the link in the Facebook chat to the YouTube channel for Failure to Stop, because not a lot of people want to sit on Facebook and watch a whole, hour and a half live stream. So if that's your thing, you can hop onto YouTube. If you are watching live on YouTube, do us a favor right now. Click the like button and then share the stream up. Click the like button. And if you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when we're going live. This is the Failure to Stop podcast, guys, the #1 show where law enforcement meets culture. And today we are going to hit you in the face with a case breakdown out of Grand Rapids, harder than Mike Tyson hit a drunk kid on a plane.
Yes.
You look like Elton John.
Everybody was complaining that
you?
I don't look at the. Everybody is complaining that I don't look at the camera enough.
You don't look at the camera.
If I have sunglasses, on, now you don't know where I'm looking.
You're constantly.
I could be looking at you. I could be looking at the computer.
Yeah,
Nobody knows now.
You're definitely looking for Britney Spears' pregnant OnlyFans. That's definitely what you're doing.
I'm just looking at porn through the whole show.
Well, like I said, guys, this is the Failure to Stop podcast. We appreciate you listening to the show on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you listen. We appreciate it. And if you're not watching live, we do go live for this show every Friday morning at 11 a.m. Every Tuesday night, we do Night Shift, baby, at 8 p.m. Eastern time, all on the Failure to Stop YouTube channel. But we have more shows than that. Tansey does Last Call on Thursdays with the overpaid producer. I do Off the Cuff on Mondays with Dave. And so, and the UPP, the underpaid producer, which is also stands for ultra micro penis. Oh, there's no M in there. Ultra
didn't think that one
ultra puny penis. That's what it is. Okay. So anyway, we got lots of shows going on, 4 different episode styles, all where law enforcement meets culture. Thank you for showing up. How you doing, Tansey?
I'm doing good. Weird.
You ready for today?
It's a weird day because we're in the studio. I don't feel like anything went wrong.
No, nothing's gone wrong today.
So now I'm kind of like waiting on it.
We were both like way early. We fixed one small technical problem with the microphone. That's fixed. Everything's good to go. We had plenty of time. We're ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm ready, baby. It's gonna be a good day.
Gary Shortman says, "Get to it already." Gary Shortman can get to these nuts.
You like apples, Gary Shortman? How do you like those apples?
Anyway, no, we're not going to get to it yet. We are going to talk about the Patrick Lyoya shooting in Grand Rapids. It occurred on April 4th in the year of our Lord 2022. We are going to talk in detail, start to finish, about this case. It's fairly cut and dry, but there are a lot of aspects to this that I think non-cops who are watching this want to have consistent questions that have been posed to me, and cops need to hear some things about this situation to help them in similar ones in the future, potentially. Okay, so there's a lot to cover. We've got some news articles, we've got all the video, and we're going to break it down Big Bird and Cookie Monster style like we always do. For everyone listening, we got you. Okay, we're going to cover the case so that you can be educated when you have conversations with other people about this very notable shooting situation. But before we do that, we always like to thank the Wolfpack, our loyal listeners, for the reviews that they leave, especially on Apple Podcasts, where that drives all the ratings for the show, gives us new exposure. So we've got I think we've got 5 of them today. We'll cruise through real quick. Tansey,
why do we do this?
Want to read these? Because we love the Wolfpack.
Because it's not about the new members that are in here that don't understand the show. We do this for the old ones, the OGs that have been followers, that know the show, the loyal listeners. That's what this segment is for. So if you're new to the show, you just have to get over it, baby. Get on board, jump off the train.
Yeah, you want to participate more? Go drop a review.
Drop a
Go
review.
write one,
and you
we'll read it.
Join the fun. It's like
That's the price of
Garth
admission,
Brooks, that Garth Brooks song, "Standing Outside the Fire." That's you.
I don't know that song, but cool.
One of the greatest albums by country music artists ever.
The Thunder Rolls.
Yes, I was on there. I think it was on.
Don't. All right, you want to read this one?
Me, sure. As I lay here. Oh, why is it one of those? Do I need to read it?
You read the name, then you read the name of the review, the title.
I'm trying to figure out why you want me to read it, so it must be
because I just I'm just including you because I love you.
My brain horny by Son PF a gun. Son of a gun.
It's just the word
on computer. There's a smudge on computer. Look like a PF. As I lay here on my ghost bed, getting ready to jump up, mix up a Cardomax, and try to pretend to be a hard charger for the day, I have the tantalizing Skate Daddy Transy and Mikey whisper sweet nothings in my ears, which piques my endorphins and prevents me from murdering people throughout the day with my rock hard dong. Who needs Roman when you have these two to keep you going through the week? Sorry for the grammar, but hashtag Wolfpack problems. Scott Rogers was my English teacher.
That's awesome. Dude, I forgot that one video that Daniel sent us. Our friend Officer Daniel sent us. There's an opening in the Wolfpack. If we can get that for the end of the show, we'll round out the show with that. It's a group text between me, you, and Daniels, and he sent the TikTok. It's brilliant. We need to let people know that there's a vacancy in the Wolfpack, and we have to show that video at the very end. All right, next review.
Okay.
C-Core 556. It gets gooder and gooder. 5 stars. Failure to Stop is not only the listening adventure you don't think you needed, there are also some pretty good dudes willing to help out and give good advice. The content is like a magical cream pie in my ears. When listening to the national anthem and pounding a tall boy of American brewed hops tea, crushing the can over my slightly balding head and fighting off a mountain lion with only my left testicle. Okay.
That was a very gooder review.
Very, very gooder. Excellent. Next one. There you go. There you go.
There it is.
Go ahead, Tansey.
This podcast is part of a balanced breakfast by Power Guy 55. 5 stars. Listening to this podcast is like throwing back 3 extra strong espressos while taking a cold shower after sleeping 12 hours in a ghost bed. You need it to start your day.
There you go, baby. So if you just woke up, now you're getting to start your day off right with the Failure to Stop podcast. Dingus 5000. Not my proudest fap. 5 stars. Some of the dark stuff gets me moister than an oyster, but I have no issue popping it on the big screen and letting my peeping Tom neighbors get in on the action. Rumor has it the show is actually what kept Magic Johnson alive for so long. I've always wondered how he stayed alive. I'm glad to have contributed to that. That's a proud thing. Rounding us out, whatever Doug Buffer name, I can't read your name. Can't stop, won't stop. 5 stars. If you have trouble staying cool and staying hard, then this is the podcast for you. It'll make you so hard that Lori Lightfoot wearing all the fake medals in the world won't phase you, and your ghost bed rested boner. Guns up, giddy up.
See, I like that all of our reviews are just chock full of inside jokes. I've said that before, but I really do like it because it shows like I could tell you all the episodes that he referenced in that review. I think that's so fun. And the fact that like everybody puts our sponsors, like what other podcast on the planet, literally almost 90% of our reviews, they drop a link to our sponsors in every single review. It's because our ad reads are that fucking good.
Hell yeah, brother. All right. So do we want to thank one of our sponsors before we dive into the breakdown? Because we gotta move. We gotta get going. But
now let's just do a commercial break. We'll do a commercial break
later.
Yeah, I'm not in the mood to do an ad read right this second. I'm not juiced up enough. I'm not jazzed up enough right this minute.
Cool. Well, let's get you jazzed up by opening up the breakdown. Let's start with this NPR article, guys. If you're just joining us or on the live, there's no or. If you're just joining us, we are going to be breaking down the Patrick Lyoya shooting out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grand Rapids PD officer involved shooting. And let's frame this in with Tansey's favorite thing that news outlets do anytime someone is shot by the police and they immediately talk about all the emotional things about the person that got shot and paint them in the best possible light, let's just frame it in. This is from NPR. So no one think I'm not getting my news from Fox News for you.
Since we have a lot of new listeners today, what he's talking about is, I've always said, if you're watching mainstream media, whether it's Fox News or CNN, if they ever try to elicit an emotion from you, then they are lying. If they have to start an article out and it sounds like this: he was a young man, father of 2, husband of 1. It's bullshit. If they were like, he had more fentanyl in his system that could have killed 4 elephants. 4 elephants, Jim. 4 elephants. He's lying. Like, you should be able to read facts as a journalist.
Just give the facts.
Just to give the facts and let everybody else's emotions just kind of speak for themselves. So I don't know what you're going to play, but I'm guessing.
I'm not playing anything. I'm just going to read. I'm going to frame this in for everybody. So if you have not heard of this, then now you will. And if you have, we're at the beginning here. And here we go. Patrick Lyoya fled it says Congo, the Congo, I think is what you would say, to escape war. A traffic stop in Michigan cost him his life. So let's stop there. A traffic stop didn't cost him his life.
No.
I get really, really irritated. And this is not a pro-cop or an anti-cop thing. This is a common sense thing. I get really irritated at titles that are misleading and the perspective of like, oh, he didn't deserve this because of a broken taillight or a bad license plate. That is not why this shooting happened. This shooting has next to nothing, if anything, to do with the reason for the stop. Nothing. It happened subsequent to a traffic stop, but the traffic stop isn't what cost him his life. You can judge what cost him his life in the end, but it's not that. So they're already trying to frame in the whole thing as though they're comparing the value of a traffic stop to the value of a life, which is a non-comparison. Traffic stops aren't as valuable as human life, and that they know that, which is why they frame it in that way, because they're making an appeal to emotion from the beginning instead of an appeal to the facts. Okay, so continuing on. It was about 5 years ago that Patrick Lyoya first stepped into Restoration Community Church, a small United Methodist congregation just outside Grand Rapids, Michigan. He was a new face, but he had a familiar story. Like most of the congregation, Lyoya belonged to a sprawling African diaspora in Grand Rapids who came to the United States seeking safety and a better life. In Lyoya's case, his family arrived as refugees from the Democratic Republic of Congo in 2014. So he's been in the country for 8 years. They had escaped war and fear of persecution, and after more than a decade in a refugee camp, they seemed to have finally found a haven in Michigan. America meant opportunity for the family. So when Banza Mukale, the pastor at Restoration Community Church and himself a refugee from Congo, met Lyoya, he could sense a promising life ahead. He was a very young man who had the future. He had something in it, Mukale said. You could see him just trying to look for himself how he could be better in the future. The future came to a sudden and tragic end earlier this month when Lyoya was shot and killed by a Grand Rapids police officer after he was pulled over for allegedly driving with an unregistered license plate. I will tell you now that it has been established that the license plate on the car was in fact a bad plate. In other words, this vehicle was not registered. It was a fake decal or a plate that belonged on a different car was put on this car. The plate that was run did not match the vehicle it was on, which is a common thing to happen on stolen vehicles.
Yes.
Okay. If the car had not yet, or stealing license plates, a stolen license plate on a stolen car. That's so they're going to steal one and put it on another. So it's really common for car thieves, if they know that they're really good at stealing, let's say 2005 Honda Civics, they go find Honda Civics and they will steal the plates off of them. And then they stick that on the one that they stole. That way, if people are more likely to not notice a license plate being stolen than reporting their car stolen. So they put the stolen plate on the stolen car. A cop runs the plate and it comes back to, that's a Honda Civic. Well, in this case, whoever put that plate on the vehicle made the mistake of putting a different kind of vehicle on it. It came back to something else.
I don't know if they still have this problem, but before I left, one of the issues that we had in a particular part of town was they would steal. It was in a Walmart parking lot, but they would steal at the back of the parking lot where the cameras couldn't quite reach. They would steal a plate car and replace it with a plate, and that plate wouldn't come back stolen for months until the person goes to, maybe gets pulled over themselves, and they're like, "You've got a fake tag," and they're like, "Dude, I don't have a fake tag. What are you talking about?" You know what I mean? Which, when I pulled cars over, because I already knew this was a thing, I'm like, all right, is this the stolen tag, or is this the guy that doesn't know he has a stolen tag because his tag was stolen and replaced with another tag? So it can be quite confusing. The whole stolen tag thing, though, is definitely nefarious activity. It's never more often than not, it's not just some kind of innocent, oh, my tag is, I accidentally put the wrong tag. Sometimes that happens, but most of the times there's some kind of theft involved leading up to that.
Exactly. All right. Continuing on with the NPR story. Okay. Video of the April 4th traffic stop released by Grand Rapids police showed a brief foot chase followed by a struggle over the white officer's taser. Now, here we go. We're talking about race now. So I want you guys, I would assume most of our listeners are educated enough to understand what play is being run on you from these articles, which is, honestly, this is why we do this show. Like, this is what Fridays are all about, because you are not going to get an objective information about cases like this. Certainly not going to get it colored when you hear a story on CNN, even on Fox, or I was just on Newsmax this week. Even on these things, you're not going to get a cop perspective usually on these things in a detailed way, which is why we're doing this. So notice the title compares human life to traffic stops, which is not nonsensical, right? Then they start talking about his refugee status and his hope for life, which also has nothing to do with the situation. And then they bring up the officer's race, which also has absolutely nothing objectively to do with this. So that's how you know you're being spun, when none of this pertains to what actually happened. We are halfway through a major news outlet or a major media company, NPR, and they still haven't told you what happened. They're coloring everything. They're framing everything with assumptions that they know will lead you somewhere before they even ever tell you what happened. That's what's going on.
If you look back at other news stories as well, like when you look at Aaron Hernandez, or you look at even O.J. Simpson, when they killed somebody, a lot of this was like, a promising football star, murders his wife. And this one, it is, you don't hear anything about the cop. Like, what if this cop was a youth pastor on the side, or what if he was, in charge? Like, we don't know any of these things, but what if he was a community officer? I mean, what if he went to church? What if he's a father of 4? Like, we don't, like, we don't care about his.
Yeah. What if his family had been refugees in the past and came to this country looking for a better life? Yeah, exactly. That's not what it's about. Okay. The video ends with the officer shooting Lyoya in the back of the head while he was face down on the ground. Also slightly inaccurate. That's not exactly how it happened, but Lyoya was 26. So Lyoya was, like I said, he's been in the country for 8 years. So he was 18 when he came here. The harrowing video of Lyoya's final moments has spawned days of protest in Grand Rapids over the death of yet another black man at the hands of law enforcement. Nearly 2 years after George Floyd's murder sparked a nationwide reckoning over racial injustice and police misconduct, Lyoya's case, for many, represents a measure of the steep challenges that persist. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep reading, because I'll go off on such a tangent about that I'll never get back. Yet for those who knew Lyoya, he is not a symbol. They knew him as a son, a brother, and a father, a person of faith, whose life was inextricably shaped by war. They remember him as someone who is quiet and kind, someone who loved music and soccer, but someone who loved his 2 children above everything else. And the article goes on. But what they do not tell you in this article, you can, and I'll link this in the show notes. So when you hear this on audio, you can go right to the show notes. It'll be on Podbean, but you'll see it on Apple Podcasts too. Wherever you listen, the show notes will have links. I will link to this NPR article so you can read it for yourself about what never ever appears on here. They will not tell you that a warrant had just been issued for Patrick Lyoya's arrest for domestic violence second, which means he already had a past domestic violence charge and conviction, and this was his second domestic violence. So when they tell you that he was a joy to be around and that he was nothing but kind, it is a lie. It is not true. He was at least unkind to his domestic partner, whoever that was, female, male, whatever Patrick Lyoya's choice in gender was. He committed acts of domestic violence against them, not just once, but twice. And there was a fresh warrant for his arrest issued April 1st, 2022. Okay?
Also, he has a history of 3 motor vehicle felony thefts that were pled down to misdemeanor possession of stolen property. But it's because it's an easier charge to stick, and they're trying to give less felonies. But he spent 181 days for stealing motor vehicles. So he's only been in this country for 8 years, and he was arrested 1, 2, 3, 4, and now has a 5th warrant out.
Those are the times that he's caught.
Right.
That's the time. To address real quick, again, if you are on Facebook, please consider jumping over to the YouTube stream to keep up watching the show. Subscribe to the channel there if you like these kinds of breakdowns. Pat Poindexter on Facebook says, what actually happens is he shot him in the back of the head. Doesn't matter. Either the cop or victim's race, the back of the head while laying on his stomach. End of story. I were not present, nor was I. Okay, I don't know what the... Pat, we're going to stick around because the fact that you have already determined what happened without knowing is exactly why we're doing this breakdown. We do this breakdown for people like Pat so that they can get educated or they can leave. It's just one of the two.
I mean, Pat, I hope you have the intestinal fortitude to stick around. And if you don't agree with us, even when we start to break down the actual use of force here and go over the policies, if you still at the end, I'd love to have that argument with you.
Yeah. Stick around to the
end. But simply that it isn't that, we want everything in this country to be black and white. And I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about, clear cut and concise. And there's gray area. There are gray areas of things. Things don't get to be that simple. We don't get to, everybody wants to take a hard stance on everything. I mean, like the Don't Say Gay bill, people want this hard stance on it when they haven't even read the bill yet. And there are gray areas, and it's called critical thinking. You have to look at what's written. You have to look at what's put on paper there. And then you have to critically think through that and look and see, what does it exactly mean? Not what the media tells you, not these hard stances that everybody, that Fox News, that CNN, all these people want you to take a hard stance on these things. As the article that Mike just read, they want you to take this hard stance that this guy was a great person and he didn't deserve to die at that time. Right. And, we don't know what Fox News wants to say, because I haven't watched Fox News's take on this yet. So
Pat followed up with, we can agree to disagree. No, I will not agree to disagree, because we haven't even broken it all down.
We're just yet.
We haven't even gotten there.
Listen to the
and
facts.
You've already determined your mind to disagree. So that's weak-minded. Scroll up to one more comment I want to address before we dive in, by Ryan, I think. Keep going up a little bit. Right there. Ryan Brannon on the Facebook side, aren't you kind of doing a breakdown in a certain way without having total facts? No, we are not. The NPR article that I'm reading is a fact. It's a published article. So that is a fact of what it says is exactly what they said. So no, we're not spinning this. I'm telling you
police
what
reports
they said.
are the police reports that
and
we pulled
the
from
video
Michigan.
that we're going to break down and the situation we're going to break down really happened, and it's factual. And we're answering common questions or concerns about the situation from our experience, our combined 20 years of experience in policing. So welcome to the show again. And if you're just joining us, Facebook, man, is something else. We don't normally go live on my Facebook, but boy, oh boy, we're drawing in a lot of interesting people that have a lot of preconceived ideas. But that's what you don't see in the article, is you don't see the background of Patrick Lyoya that is criminal. So this isn't what that article has you believing is an emotional story about a refugee from the Congo who comes here and randomly, a good church-going kid that ends up because of a traffic stop on his face getting shot in the head. That's what happened. That's not what happened. It's just not what happened.
But do we think that's like,
that's how it's painted?
Do we think that is, we talk about journalism and journalism is dead, but is this not proof that journalism is dead? Is that, and my question would be for Pat, and feel free to answer it. I'll look at your answer in the chats there, Pat. But is that fair journalism when you give only one side of the story? So like, if we're real journalists, right, and we're going to give all the good things that this guy has done, would it not be fair to say also all the bad things he's done too, so that you can then have the totality of the circumstances before you make an opinion?
Yeah.
Is that not what real journalism would do?
Yeah, it'd be nice.
I feel like that's what journalism should do. If you're going to say all the good things about somebody, you should also say all the bad things about that same person in journalism, so that we can have the totality of this human being. I should not get to just see one side of what this guy was like to then make my judgment on a full case. You got to paint.
That's what everybody wants. Everybody seems to be, and that's a broad stroke, because it's certainly not everybody, but it's this prevalence of, as soon as you hear black guy, white cop, it automatically registers a set of preconceived assumptions, right, in people. And they know that. They know exactly what they're doing. It's not incidental. It's not accidental. It's completely intentional how these things are framed in. And listen, I want to be really, really clear. It would be equally bad if Tansey and I came on here or in our show only promoted police officers, only talked about cases where police officers were right. But you could go back to, well, I don't know what episode it was, to maybe episode 2. We did the George Floyd breakdown, and we were very critical of the officer, Derek Chauvin, and the people there. We have exposed. And
who's to say we're not going to be very critical of this cop? Because we have
nobody even knows yet.
We're just being critical of the journalism here and the fake journalism. Also, and that's easy for you to say, Pat, is to say he's shot in the back of the head, period. But no, it's not a period. We're talking about the journalism and the misuse of information that you get. We don't know who the officer is yet because they have not released the officer's name. But I guarantee you, Pat, that when they take this officer's name and they put it out to the public, the media is only going to tell you the bad things that this cop has done. They're not going to tell them the good things that this cop has done. But the suspect, or the victim, suspect, however you want to look at it, they're going to tell you all the good things he's done, but not the bad things he's done. And that, to me, simply is just not journalism. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. True journalism on both sides. If I'm going to know all the bad things about this cop, I want to know all the good things about this cop as well. If I'm going to know all the good things about this victim / suspect, I want to know all of the bad things too. If you just come right out, if Fox News just came out and said that this guy was a piece of crap and he stole cars for a living and he was a known gang member, now I could see how that's unfair, because that's not the whole thing. He was a father. He was a husband. He went to church. He was from the Congo. There are outliers, because that paints a whole nother picture. If I didn't know that this guy was from the Congo, if I didn't know that he had a past that was just immersed in violence and crime from the Congo, then I would make a whole different judgment on his character of just being someone who doesn't know how to behave. Right? Does that make sense? Am I painting that clear enough? Like it's important to know that he is an immigrant. It's important to know that he's from the Congo, because that helps me paint an entire picture of what this guy may or may not be going through to commit these crimes. So on both sides of the fence, journalism, if you're going to be real journalists, then you have to say the good and the bad of both. You have to do your job as a journalist.
And I promise you that I've got some critiques of this, but maybe it's not the critique that you want to hear if you've already just made up your mind. but critiques nonetheless. So what we're going to do is we are going to
wait. Can I just address one more thing? I'm not going to spend too much more time on Pat, but wrong is wrong. Yes, Pat, but also perception is not reality. So what your perception of wrong is, if I walk into your house, I've said this on the show, but you're obviously new. If I walk into your house and you're standing next to a body that has a knife in the chest and you've got blood all over your hands, that doesn't mean that you killed that person in cold blood. There could be so many nuances to that story. That person could have attacked you and you stabbed him. You might have just been given CPR to that person and you didn't even do it. Wrong is not just wrong. Perception isn't reality. You have to know the totality. You have to know the evidence. You have to know everything about that before we can deem if wrong was wrong or if you were wrong or right. And you just don't know. And you, Pat, simply don't know all the facts. And we're about to tell you all the facts. And then once you know all the facts, you can then say, yes, in this case, he was wrong. And this is what he deserves. But you don't know the facts of the case yet. You only know what a one-sided journalist told you the facts were. Now,
and
maybe what we tell you
created equal.
Right.
We teach kids this in school these days, that all opinions are equally valid. And that's just not true. There are some issues where opinions can differ, but that doesn't make one opinion less or more strong than the other just because you have an opinion. Okay. We're going to be objective in telling you from a cop's perspective what's going on in this case. So let's roll this video. The video that you're going to see on screen was compiled by MLive. That is a Michigan news outlet. And the reason I chose this one is because they mixed the dash cam, the body cam, and the cell phone footage that was captured by the passenger in the vehicle, and they put them in a timeline sequence. All right. So it gives us a good overall perspective and not just one limited view. This is as broad of a video view as you can find online. So that's why we're using this one. Now, if you're just listening and you're not on watching the show live, hopefully the video commentary we'll provide about what's going on will be good. You'll hear the video in the background, but if you really want to see it along with us, then obviously go to the YouTube channel and you can play it back. This video will be there then. So this opens up on the dash cam, and Patrick Lyoya, it says, was shot and killed by Grand Rapids police officer after a traffic stop around 8:11 a.m. on April 4th, 2022. So this is where we pick up the following video. It says is from police body cam, dash cam, and the phone of the passenger in Lyoya's car. So let's roll this. It says police blurred out portions of the videos that showed license plates or other individuals that were on scene, which is an important fact that there are other people. If you are watching, there is going to be some graphic content here. So just if you don't want to see someone get shot, don't watch this. All right, you can pause. You can pause right there. A little bit of background on why the stop was initiated. Again, we've mentioned it. The officer ran the license plate on this vehicle, and the license plate did not match the vehicle. Okay, that is indicative of a possible stolen vehicle. That is why this traffic stop is being conducted. So let's talk real quick, because his attorney, Ben Crump, who is a notable attorney on larger cases, Stefan Clark, Breonna Taylor, and the list goes on. Ben Crump has been a part of a lot of notable police-involved circumstances, and he has said this is another case of driving while black, because he had to have decided to get behind this vehicle and run the plate because Patrick is black. So you were talking off camera a little bit, Tansey, to me about the idea of running plates. So explain to everyone what you were explaining to me.
One, as a former law enforcement officer and going to many trials, the first thing that they always want to say, and anytime that you're dealing with a black person, is that it was because they were black. That's what they always want to say. So to combat that, I worked in a majority black area. I would say close to 85% of the people that lived in the area that I patrolled were black. So of course, probably the 85% of the traffic stops I make probably going to reflect that. So it's not like I'm just driving around looking for black people. I was surrounded by black people all day long. But there are things that do draw your attention to a car. anything can draw your attention to a car. Loud music or assertive movements, missing hubcap can make you look at a car.
That time of day, it could be that there's a ton of stolen cars coming in and out of that neighborhood. And so he's running that. Could be that the car seemed to be going a little bit fast to him. Could be that there was a furtive gesture on the part of the driver when he was passing. It could be.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go in there. But as a rule, and I trained other officers, lots of other officers. I had a lot of rookies that I trained. So I hope that my rookies still do the same thing. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But there are probably a good percentage of them that still do what I taught them. And that's, if there's a car in front of you, you run the tag. And when you go to court and somebody says, why did you run that tag? And if I remember, I ran that tag because he stopped at a green light. And I thought that was odd. Yeah. And sure enough, the car was stolen because the suspect was so focused that he saw a cop that he didn't focus on the light being green, and he just sat there and sat there and sat there. And that's because he was in a stolen car. But if there's a car in front of me, black, white, Asian, older, younger, doesn't matter. Yep. If there's a car in front of me and I am actively patrolling, like I'm not going to do something else, I'm actively patrolling, the tag gets ran.
Yes. And
there are times of day that cops say, I am actively patrolling. So just to let the citizens know that sometimes cops have to, we're in our cop car for 12 hours a day. Are we patrolling for 12 hours a day? No. Sometimes we're going to evidence to turn something in or fix something. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we're going to the detective station to do a shift over there. Yep. I can't run tags if I'm going to the detective station to do a shift at the detective station, because if I run a tag and the car comes back stolen and then I go after a stolen car and I get mixed up in that, guess who's really going to be upset with me? The guy that just spent 16 hours at the detective station because he was supposed to be relieved in 8 hours, but I was out trying to be
now cop. This cop has 7 years on the job. And if you're a cop that's a go-getter, which, so just so you guys know, I spoke to officers at Grand Rapids Police Department. I wanted information about the officer. I wanted to understand policy and procedure. I wanted to understand their training, and hopefully some of that bleeds through the context of this. But when you have a young go-getter officer, he's in his prime. Years 5 to 8 is sort of like you really have your groove. That's when
you're not disgruntled. You're not a rookie. Like you're in your prime.
Yes.
5 to 8.
And a lot of guys will be like, hey, listen, if I'm going to be proactive, I'm going to get my morning coffee. I'm going to start my shift. I'm going to go out there and get after it now, because once I start getting calls and the call volume increases through the day, then I'm going to be tied up on that. So if I want to do that, but I want to mention, you're going to get me banned. The underpaid producer, delete that comment, dude. That's going to get me banned. Calling somebody a ding dong in the comments as me, going to get me blocked.
No, not a ding dong.
I tried making it as nice as I could.
I know. I appreciate you being
nice.
I'm
not, I don't, it's not about being nice or mean to Pat. I actually appreciate people like Pat being in the comments. Like, I think it's brave, right?
No,
she's giving what her opinion is.
That we blocked them.
Well, please don't block.
No one's been blocked.
I said we didn't block you, you ding dong.
I don't like to. I don't block. I love the freedom of speech, and I love that's what the show is for, right? There is a disconnect between police and civilians, and we're trying to be that language barrier to let you to talk about cop stuff and understand.
But you got to do it maturely. If you
we do it. But
I'm saying if they just walk away, then
it's not her job to be mature. Well, sure, yeah, it's her job to stay and listen. But going back to running tags, why do we run tags, and what is important of running tags? Because there are murder suspects out that the detectives put. It's an alert on your tag. And running a tag is not just for insurance violations. Matter of fact, if I'm actively patrolling, I'm ignoring insurance violations. Or I never ignore insurance violations. If you have an insurance violation, I pull you over every time, because if you hit somebody, it's going to be on them and not, they're going to have to pay for it. So I always had a pretty hard stance on insurance violations. I always pulled those over. But registrations, I never pulled you over if I had no other indicators that you were up to nefarious activity, unless you were 3 months out. So if you were over 3 months on the registration, I pulled you over. If you were past 6 months, I gave you a ticket. Those were my rules. So I treated everybody fairly. So it didn't matter if you're black, white, Asian, or whatever. If all you had was a 3 month expired tag, I pulled you over and I gave you a warning. If it was expired for more than 6 months, I gave you a ticket. Yeah. And that was just so that I could be fair. Now, every cop is different. Some cops say, no, they should be registered on the day. My car's registered. On time every month. Yours should be. I'm the kind of guy that's, I understand that working with the DMV is the most ridiculous thing on earth. So every car is different, but running the tags is more for finding the stolen vehicle, because if your car was stolen with your cell phone in it, with your laptop that has all the pictures of your child, of your baby, your firstborn baby, all my pictures are on my laptop. I don't care about the car. I've got to get this laptop back. It has documents on it. You know what I mean? But that's what happens with a stolen car. And as a cop, when you're taking that report, you empathize with that. And you're like, I'm going to find that car. I'm going to find that car. And then you're going to send an email out to everybody in the district and be like, hey guys, listen, this girl really, obviously it's a stolen car and she wants the car back, but there's a laptop in the car. If anybody sees this laptop in pawn shops, please go to your local pawn shops. She really wants this computer. It's really important to her. So you're emotionally involved as a cop when it comes to stolen car. It's not just a stolen car. We got to speak to the victim of the stolen car, and now we side with that victim. And I think that citizens forget that there are victims in cases. That was somebody's license plate that he put on that car. Now somebody else is driving around with no license plate and is now going to have to go deal with DMV. It's going to have to deal with all this because some asshole went and took their license plate off in the back of a Walmart parking lot and put it on another car for reasons unknown. Probably because this car was stolen. I would guess that this car might not have been reported stolen yet, because maybe they don't know, or it's because it's off of a car lot of some sort. But there's a good chance that, he could have been running because of the warrant, but a fake tag on a car.
There you go. Maybe he knew that warrant was coming. And that brings up a great point. You said, like, I've ran plates before in which, we caught me and one of my partners caught a lot of people on warrants for good crimes. Like, we didn't mess with people wanted for suspended license or something, right? Like, I didn't care about that stuff. That's a dime a dozen. Nonviolent crimes. I spent time when we found warrants. We wanted assaults and, major theft issues, things like that really have a gross impact on a community. And we would run plates all day long and be scooping up people on these kind of warrants, which Patrick would have possibly known that he was wanted for a domestic violence second charge. Could be a reason. But another thing that happened many times, homicide suspects ran a plate, got a homicide suspect just running plates on the expressway. Oh, holy crap. This guy's wanted for freaking murder.
The Oklahoma City bomber was pulled over. Wasn't the Oklahoma City bomber pulled over on an expired registration?
I don't know if it was a taillight or an expired registration. Something. I think somebody brought up in the comments. I can't remember. Something minor. And then we stopped a car one time. I had a ride along. That's why I remember this. We stopped a car one time, and two people were wanted in the car. They had a gun in the car. One was wanted for child molestation, and another one had a murder warrant. So, like, you're running plates and you're stopping people who are wanted for crimes that they've committed. Do you think that the victim of Patrick Lyoya's second domestic violence assault, do you think that he or she would be happy that he was stopped and caught somehow by the police because he refused to show up and appear for his charges? Do you think that maybe they would be happy? Why aren't they a victim? Why aren't there news stories about who that is and how they would feel if somebody wanted for assaulting them was just let go because it was just a traffic stop? This is where we have to understand the plate running thing.
We see domestic violence stuff on TV, and then, people say, like, man, I can't believe those kids have to live through that. And that's just terrible. That's just disgusting. They should put those people in jail. Yeah. But now that they're in a stolen car, we're not going to worry about that.
Yeah, but he just stopped him because of it was a bad plate. Like, you're mixing metaphors, and it's terrible. So go back to the video. The first thing that I noticed as a cop, boom, stop right there.
All right, so that's I always say that I police off of indicators. I learned indicating or doing things on indication through the military. There are indicators, and usually 3 strike. I always go by the 3 strike rule. And what is an indicator? I've said it on the show before, but for you new folks out there, an indicator is, one, the first indicator was whatever led him to see this vehicle. I don't know what this car did to make him to make him say, like, let me run this plate, or maybe he just ran the plate in front of him. But let's just say that there was no other indicators except that he ran this plate and the plate came back fictitious. All right, so that's indicator number 1 that something's wrong. Pretty big indication that something's wrong. It's a fictitious plate. Fictitious plate more times than not are on a stolen vehicle. So there you go. Indicator number one. Now, he stopped abruptly. All right. Most people don't stop like that when you light them up. When you light somebody up, they usually look in the rearview mirror a couple times. They kind of drift over to the side and they stop. You know, maybe he just stopped on its face. It's an indicator. It's not anything crazy. But remember, this is now number 2. So it's not just by itself. It's not just the abrupt stop. It's the fictitious plate and the abrupt stop. And this motherfucker jumped out of the car. Oh, listen, I could pull over 60 cars today in a cop car. And I would be willing to bet you $100 that out of the 60 vehicle stops that I do in the 12-hour shift, not one person is going to jump out of their vehicle.
It's not normal. It's not normal to
so
get out of your
There's
car
my
on the traffic
third
stop.
indicator. I go on 3 indicators. If you give me 3 indicators of nefarious activity, I'm putting you in handcuffs. Why? Because I've had my teeth shattered over a broken taillight. And when I went back, the guy didn't give me 1 indicator, not 2 indicators, not 3 indicators, but like 31 indicators. And we went over this with a psychologist and with the entire SWAT team because it was a statewide training video. And I pulled a guy over for a broken taillight that ended up being one of the most brutal fights of my entire life. That almost ended with, and it actually ended with me saying, I'm going to shoot you now. And the guy said, don't, I'm done, because he was too tired. I was too tired to keep fighting. I didn't have anything left in me. The guy damn near punched me into oblivion. And I said, fuck it. I'm going to shoot you because I'm not going to lose this, because if I lose this, you're going to kill me. And my mother's in the car. My mom was riding with me in my cop car at the time. So
it's nuts.
These
exactly
are
why I never want to do a ride along with a relative.
Yeah, dude. And I was taking her back to the station. It was great. It was New Year's Eve. But anyway, she just had dinner with me and I was giving her a ride. But here we have 3 indicators that something nefarious is going on. So 1, again, I've ran a tag that's fictitious. I'm already thinking that this could be a stolen car. Now I've got a guy that slams on the brakes and then jumps out of the car immediately. So right now I'm like, this guy this is a stolen car. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. You're
my adrenaline is already through the roof.
Everyone knows this. This is such an overall common knowledge. And people have talked about, well, he was a refugee. He's been in this country for 8 years. He's been arrested multiple times on charges of stealing cars. He knows exactly what he's doing and that he shouldn't be jumping out of a car when he gets pulled over. Everyone knows this, right? I've had some exceptions where it was like this really old person that just like gets out of the car and you're like, sir, step back in your car for me. And they're kind of clueless, but we're talking like these people are ancient. I'm not sure they could have been a zombie. I don't know, but they, so old that it's like, they're almost infantile again in their intelligence. I don't know. It's a little bit different, but this is a huge, huge red flag right off the rip. Okay. So continue.
Dude, I'm stopping you. Do you have a license? Do you have a license?
All right, stop right here. I want to say this right now. Okay, so this is really telling to me watching this video, and this is really interesting to me. So this cop knows that something's wrong. His spider senses are tingling, baby. He knows something's wrong. He knows that he's seen all the indicators that I've just mentioned to you, and he's saying, "Dude, man, get back in the car." And now he's saying, this guy's going to run and I'm going to start a conversation. His brain is going faster than his mouth can keep up. So he's trying to think, he's trying to play. This guy's going to run. This guy's going to run. This guy's going to run, but he hasn't run yet. He hasn't run yet. Let me talk. Do you have your license? He's just talking right now because his brain is like, okay, this guy's giving me every indicator that he's running, but he's not running. And so now what do I do? Because once somebody runs, that's easy. We're good. Like we can chase somebody all day long. And if we see a gun, we can handle a gun. Like those are easy things for your brain to comprehend. But when somebody does all this and then they don't run, now you're like, you're kind of stuck in this. What do we do now? Type thing. And that's why this cop is like talking the way he is.
Yeah. And he says, I'm stopping you. Do you have a license? For what? He says, maybe for the car that you're driving,
So the suspect's playing the same game. He's got fight or flight in his brain. Am I fleeing from this cop? Am I running? Do I not want to run?
Everybody
this cop looks like
already
he's in good shape.
Yeah. So if the cop pulling out on this car running the plate was at a level 2 out of 10, we're at 9 right now. Like everything is like really escalated
Right.
in this.
Yeah,
I can
yes.
feel this traffic stop, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
continue.
I would be worried. I'd be worried. I would not let him go back to that car for any reason.
This is a
Because
mistake
normally when
that I see the
somebody
officer
when
make.
somebody has something wrong, when they have guns or dope in the car, they want to separate themselves from that. And so this guy is already separating himself from that vehicle.
Here's
There's
the
something attached to
rule.
that vehicle.
For cops that are listening to this show, if maybe your FTO sucked, maybe you didn't have me or Tansey as your FTO, but once they're out of the car, they stay out. That's it. They're
That's
not
the
going
rule.
back.
That is the rule.
Do not let someone reach back into a car. Do not let them get back into the car. Once they're out, they're out. That's a safety issue. That's a smart issue. So just keep that in mind. What happens, because you're going to see the officer actually ask him to go back into the vehicle, and you're going to see maybe in the video, you'll see that he has a passenger in the car. This now another layer of an issue. Now I've got a guy that I know has raised up the hairs in the back of my neck. I know he's going to run. I know it. I know it's happening.
100%.
And now I got a person in the car to worry about. So now,
and who's got what? Who's holding? Now,
Yes.
who's holding too, right? Because if I'm trying to separate myself from the stolen firearm that's in the car, or the 8-ball of cocaine that's in the car, or the murder suspect that's sitting next to me in the car, we don't
the two
know
guns
what's
that are in the
car.
back seat that they just bought,
right?
or stole,
but I'm
or who
separating
knows?
myself, and I've got a guy that's running, and every cop has this happen to them, and any big city cop normally has this happen to them. It's happened to me several times, and literally when you go to chase, there have been times where I have and then I'm like, no, I want what's in this car. Fuck that guy. And I'll let that guy run. And then I'll stay with the car. But that's usually often I've ran the plate. I've seen the picture of the driver. And then the driver gets out. And I'm like, okay, that's the driver of the car. So I already have him identified. So I don't need to go chase him. I can get him later with warrants because I've already matched the picture to the thing. But in this case, there was no picture because it was a fictitious plate. So he now doesn't know who this driver is. And he chose to go after the driver. But every cop has to make that decision on his own. Do I chase the guy who's running from me? Or do I stay with the vehicle? I don't know. Yep. And so that's also something that the brain is trying to process.
There's no right answer to that either.
And there's no right answer to it. It's just kind of like a 50-50. It's also like when you lose a suspect, do I go left or do I go right? I often just try to go wherever's downhill or has the path of least resistance. And I just take a guess. But you never know. But I think it's something that we don't talk about enough are the stress levels, the cortisol levels, the adrenaline, pumping through your veins. All of those things have a factor in what is going to be the outcome of a certain event. Everybody deals with stress. And this right here for this officer is so high stress. You have no idea what his brain is trying to do. And it's something that your brain, Pat, has probably never had to do. Thank God. Thank God your brain hasn't had that. I pray that my kids never have to have their brain work that fast, because I don't want my kids to think, is this guy going to shoot me? Is this guy going to run? Is the person in the car going to shoot me? Is the car in the run? Is this car stolen? Are there stolen guns? Why hasn't he ran yet? Why is this car still, this plate fixation? So many things, man. Plus the adrenaline.
And you're
level.
In a neighborhood. Are there people on the porch? Are there people watching me? What's going on? There's a lot of things happening. And someone mentioned in the comments, it doesn't appear that this officer is in control. It's like, well, wait a second. You just conducted a traffic stop. You're right. You're absolutely right. The bad guy will always have the jump on the cops. Always. Because they already know that they want to harm the officer. The officer has to just assume everybody's going to try to harm him. And in the process, try to also give the benefit of the doubt. Try doing that for a while, day after day, where you have to be polite and professional, but also know that there are people out there who may want to do you harm, like Patrick Lyoya, which we'll see. So continue.
Do you have a license?
What done?
Do you have a driver's license? Do you speak English?
Yes.
Okay, pause that real quick. I don't want to dwell on this, but it's very, very important because a lot of people have been talking about the fact that he was a refugee and he didn't speak English very well. Well, first of all, he's been in the country for 8 years. That's his responsibility. He spoke English enough to get a driver's license and take responsibility for driving vehicles. And the officer asked him, just to be sure, this is actually really, really good on the part of the officer. He recognizes, like, this guy's acting kind of dumb. Like, what license? What for? What did I do? Like, he's asking all these questions. He's distracting questions. He's like, he gives him
these are all
this
stalling
benefit of the doubt.
They're just stalling questions.
Gives him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And even asks him, do you speak English? And he says, yes. So now the language barrier is over. Even if Patrick Lyoya was lying that he spoke English, what's the officer supposed to do? He's not a linguist. He's a police officer enforcing the law in Grand Rapids. He's not a linguist. He asked him a very, very important question. Do you speak English? So that all of his verbal commands that he gave up to that point and all the verbal commands he's going to give after this point, he's doing it with confidence. This guy says he speaks English. Okay, continue.
Oh, wait, pause real quick. Really quick to note, maybe pulled over thousands of cars. Not one single car that I've ever pulled over that I can remember. And I was sitting here trying to think, not one has anybody ever jumped out of their vehicle on a single traffic stop that didn't run or fight me or have a gun or a massive amount of dope. Not one, not a single out of the thousands of cars I've ever pulled over. Nobody has ever jumped out of their vehicle like that.
Likewise.
At me. Just
someone says Norwegian officers take years of training. We have 6 weeks. That's just a lie. So Dakota in the Facebook chat, you are 1,000,000% incorrect. So I'm not even going to address it. Continue.
We have 6 weeks. I have a lot longer than 6 weeks, homie. It's like over a year.
Do you have a license or no? Do you have a driver's license?
Yeah.
Where is it at?
It's in the car.
Get it for me.
Okay, pause
I
right
would
there.
not have done that.
This is the first piece of I'm absolutely critical of this officer right here.
But here, let me I know why you're critical, but what if I think what this officer was doing, it's not right. It's not the right thing to do. But I have been in a similar situation. He's trying to prevent this guy from running. So this cop already has the mindset that this guy is going to run. And he thinks that if he allows him to go into the car, then he's not going to run and he's not going to have to chase him. That's what he's thinking. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, go back to the car. It is, but I know that's what he's thinking. I don't know 100%, but I feel it in my heart that that's what he's going. He's like, he hasn't ran yet. He hasn't ran yet. Yeah, go back to your car.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have let him. I mean, it happened to me and I did let him go back to the car. So I can't say
no, thank you. What you should like, well, what should I have done? Hey, you know what? Just right there, I would
have a seat.
I would have already been sitting this guy down on the curb, and I recognize there's a passenger in the vehicle. This guy's going in handcuffs.
100%.
That's all there. End of the day, do you speak English? Yes. Okay. Listen, you know what? Go ahead, turn around for me. You're not answering my questions. You're not going to go back in the vehicle. The vehicle's not registered correctly. I'm just temporarily detaining you until we sort this out. You're not under arrest, sir.
Which I think is what he tries to do. In just a second.
Go on.
That's where his brain goes.
The plate does not belong on this car.
So he's speaking English. Grab me my license right there. I understand it.
Right there.
Now, another thing that I would have done if I was this cop is I would have already been calling for other people to start headed this way.
And we don't know that he hasn't. I mean, okay, no. So go ahead. That's a great point, Mike. If where I work, if you get on, you say, Raleigh, I've got a fictitious tag in front of me. Cops are already coming because we already know, he's about to have a stolen car. Oh, there's about to be a foot chase. Even K9 is already going to start heading that way. If we say fictitious plate, everybody's
true. Yeah, you bring up a great point. It may have been broadcast before all this starts that, hey, I'm behind a car right now. It's got a bad tag and I'm going to be stopping it at whatever. So
yeah, I mean, it would be irresponsible. You would not be a good beat partner if you didn't start heading that way, anticipating, what we all know is about to happen. Anytime somebody says I'm pulling a car with a fictitious plate, I'm waiting for the foot chase. I'm already positioned. I'm already heading into a direction where I can be of assistance to this officer. Even if I can't be direct backup, I'm going to go, okay, if this car takes off, it's going to be northbound. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this next exit and meet him north so I can catch him.
Yep.
No, stop. Put your hands right.
All right, stop right here. Stop right here. Stop right here. So a lot of things that people don't know, Pat, you're probably not familiar with this either. When we put our hands on somebody, every police officer is trained that we can feel resistance. And that's why if I grab somebody's wrist and I'm put my hand on the back of their back, I can tell if they push back on that hand or not. If they push back on that hand, they are going to start resisting 100% of the time. If I put my hand on their back and they don't do anything, then I know that they're complying at that point. So a simple touch, you can't really see it to the human eye, but we can feel it in our hand. If I put my hand on you and you flinch or you jerk, I know that that's not normal. I know resistance is coming from there, and I can go ahead and get ahead of you, because that's what a lot of people fail to understand, is that we have to get ahead of you because you already have the plan and we don't know what that plan is. So we're trying to anticipate your next moves. So if the cops ever put their hand on you, just go with it, unless you plan on getting dirty on fighting. Because if you flinch or if you do something, well, I'm just going to get ahead of that, and I'm going to go ahead and start trying to toss you to the ground or get you into handcuffs, as this officer's trying to do. Now,
yeah,
if this officer was a real asshole and that happened, he could have just stepped back and tased him right then and been completely justified in doing so. If this cop was a real asshole and a real malice and a real racist, he could have whipped that baton out and cracked it over that dude's kneecap, shattering that dude's kneecap and sending him right to the ground. But this cop is trying to use the least amount of force possible. He's not punching,
which is exactly what you want to see.
Pepper spraying the dude. He hasn't even touched his tools yet. He's trying to physically manhandle this guy, which is way more difficult to do than it is to just step back and shoot that dude in the back with a taser. So he's trying to say, don't run, buddy. Come on, man. Hey, man, I don't want to do all this paperwork.
Yeah, exactly. It's and keep in mind in the background, this situation is not just two people. It's three. You guys have to understand this. There are three people involved in this situation: the passenger, Lyoya, and the cop. And more will get involved as we see. Continue.
Stop. 1915. You got one running. North, south.
Okay, stop there. Let's talk about this. It's raining. He just ran across the grass. He's worrying about his steps. I promise you, he's thinking about don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. Because if you lose a foot chase, you go back to the locker room. One, you're going to get hazed like no other. In my department, you had to sign a boot. You had to sign a shoe of shame if you lost a foot chase. So that's all going. Look, laugh at it. But I've literally testified in court that was going through my brain, because they asked, what were you thinking at this moment? And I was like, to be honest with you, because I just swore under oath, I was thinking, don't eat shit. Because if I lose this one, it'll be my third one in a row, and I'm really going to get kicked off of the squad for losing 3 foot chases. Everybody's going to be really disappointed in me. So he's thinking right now, don't fall. He's also jumping on a radio. Now, do you know how hard it is? Go out and just try to tag your child. Like if you've got a 10-year-old, 11-year-old or whatever, go out and say, hey, go ahead and take off running. I'm going to chase you down. And I'm going to go ahead and try to give out a description and everything over a fake radio while I'm chasing you. And you even know your kid. It's not that easy. It's not as easy as you think it is. So there's still a lot going on in your brain. And he's also thinking, and I swear to you people, he's thinking all of these things. Okay, I've just decided to ditch that vehicle. I hope that vehicle doesn't leave. I need to get on the radio and tell somebody to go get that vehicle. Raleigh, I got a description of a man. So he's even giving a description on things he's not even thinking. Like he's thinking one thing and saying another, but it's all processing all at the same time.
Yes.
And he's not breathing because there's too many things going on in the brain that he's breathing correctly. So it's not like he's just going on a sprint where it's like, well, I can sprint for 90 seconds and be fine. Yeah. Because if all you have to think about and all your body has to think about is going from one point to another, then you're breathing correctly. Your feet are hitting the ground correctly. Your arms are pumping correctly. This guy is not pumping his arms. This guy is talking on a radio and not breathing. He's thinking a mile a minute. He's trying to catch his foot in a wet grip, and he's trying to keep up with the dude. That's a lot going on. All the suspect has to do is run. All he's got to do is run.
He just had one thing on his mind: get away. All right, continue.
Stop.
This is okay. So we switched to body cam footage now.
Okay.
Stop. Stop.
Okay, now stop here. Here's another good point. This happens so often that the suspect probably doesn't mean to say I am. The suspect is thinking a million miles a minute as well. He's trying to think of what his next move is. So he's just reacting to what the cop is saying. I don't even know if the suspect knows what he's saying, but when he says stop and he says, I am, you can't say I am while you're actively trying to bring your knees to your chest to get away.
Yeah.
And you may not be able to see that, but I can see that. And if you've ever done jujitsu, if you've ever rolled for 1/2 second, if I'm telling you to stop doing something, if I say stop running in that direction, but your feet are still moving at a high rate of speed in that direction, and you say I am, you're not, because you're still running in that direction. So this guy is saying I am, but he's not. His knees, his face, his wiggles, he's shrimping out of this. Like, he's not. Imagine being in the UFC cage. And you know what I mean? It's like everybody was like, well, he was trying to comply. He said he was complying. What you say and what you do are two totally different things.
The actions.
I'm not drinking my coffee. I'm not drinking my coffee.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not drinking. I'm not putting this coffee mug down. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Yes, I am. And yes,
and that's exactly what's happening here. And notice, you guys can't see this, but on the vehicle, the passenger door is now open. Does the officer see this? Maybe not. But again, this just goes to show you there are not 2 people involved here. There are 3. And that door is now popped open. Is there weapons in the car? Is there what's going on?
Remember that this cop has seen some shit in 7 years.
7 years.
He has seen his buddy get shot. I guarantee you, he's seen one of his friends get shot. I mean, I worked for 7 years and I worked through 3 different officer involved shootings where officers got shot. So, you know, personally, one guy on my squad got shot in the leg. My sister squad guy got shot in the leg on his last day, retiring to go be a school teacher. Went to a domestic violence case on his way to turn in his equipment and got shot. The sweetest guy in the world that didn't want to be a cop because things were getting too violent. He wanted to go be a school teacher. He got shot on his last day. So this cop has seen cops get shot. He has seen a cop get cut with a razor knife or knife. He's seen his friends get stitches. He's been in car chases where cars have killed somebody else. I promise you that this cop has seen all of those things. And when you see something like that, when you see a friend of yours get shot, you're afraid for them, but you also see the fear in their eyes where they're like, is the bleeding bad? Is it bad? Am I gonna, do you have a tourniquet on? Is the tourniquet correct? You know, when I broke my leg, when I shattered my leg fighting a murder suspect, you know, I thought I had shot myself because the bones breaking in my leg were so loud and I had my gun in my hand that I thought I had accidentally shot myself. And all I wanted to know was my penis okay? Because my penis hurt so bad because of the pain shooting up from the nerve in my leg was going up through my groin. I had literally thought that I shot myself in the penis and I was devastated. I was beating myself over the head, laying on the ground with my leg 360 degrees around from my foot all the way up to my knee, thinking, dude, how can you be so fucking dumb that you shot yourself in the dick, bro? How are you going to go back to the locker room? So when you see these things and when you live these kinds of things, this is no longer a game. This isn't just a foot chase. This is life or death. You have seen the worst, and now you can only assume that this is about to happen to you. This guy is running for some reason. He jumped out of his car for some reason. This car door has opened for some reason. And there is a fear level that I cannot make you understand. There's an adrenaline level. It's so easy for you to sit there in your recliner and just say, I wouldn't have shot that guy in the head. You don't understand what these fights are like. You just don't simply understand what these fights are like.
Yes,
you don't know what's going to happen.
I'll tell you this, and well, I'll save it for toward the end of the fight sequence here. But yeah, let's keep going. I apologize again if you guys are just listening to this. You'll have to come see the video if you have not seen it in great detail, because the news only shows very small clips, not a 20-minute combined thing like we have. But continue.
Great knee strikes, and the guy's still turtling, still getting up.
There's
straight
full
arm,
resistance on the part of the suspect.
Full resistance.
Put your hand behind your back.
Now pause.
Now you've got some.
Now
other
we've got a
dude
guy that walks up
on your
behind
ass.
him from in the house. And does he know the guy? Does he not know the guy? What? I mean, the car stopped abruptly right here. Is he familiar with this house? Is he not? Who knows? No one knows. And now you're in this fight against a fully resisting subject who has already raised the hairs in your head thoroughly. And you've got a car door open with another dude now standing there and another dude now surrounding you on the opposite side. So now you've got 3 on 1. right? There's 4 people involved in this situation now. And I'm not attributing any ill intent on the part of the passenger or this neighbor. That doesn't matter. Their intent doesn't matter at this point. We're talking about what's going on in the mind of the officer. That's really important because use of force and the case law surrounding it is what would a reasonable person believe and do in this situation. Not what the intent was of these other people, but now what is going on in the mind of a reasonable person in this situation. Okay.
Right.
So knee strikes are applied. Use of force is now escalating. It went from trying to just use control holds. Now we're doing strikes, and it will go from here. Continue.
When you're in a fight like this too, guys, this isn't a fight for arrest. And I know that on the outside looking in, you think that he's just trying to get this guy in handcuffs. No, this is a fight for your life. It really is. And I'm not over exaggerating this. When you're a cop and you get involved with somebody and you put your hands on somebody and that fight starts, you have to end that fight. You're the one that has to win because you have guns on you, you have pepper spray on you, and you have people that live the clout of killing a cop in a gang territory and those things. The clout is so high that if there is an opportunity to be given, they will take it. And you can watch so many videos of cops being executed doing just what he's doing right now, losing a fight. Remember that one girl that lost the fight on the side of the highway and the guy shattered her entire face, broke her jaw, knocked out all of her teeth, knocked out her eyeball. She's blind forever because once that guy saw that he was winning against the cop, he never stopped. And that's where people go because it's life or death for them too. It's okay. I've just beat this cop. This cop is tired. He's laid out. I've got to finish this off because I'm going to prison for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nuts. Okay, continue with the fight.
1950.
Another call for more backup to step it up.
Yo, what's up, man?
Now the fight has been standing. He's trying to still get him under control. The guy's actively walking away. And again, some people say, see, he's not fighting anymore. That's not true. He's still actively resisting.
He's not resisting nothing, bro.
He's not resisting. He just tried to toss the cop.
Look at what's happening. Okay. Now, a lot of people say, oh, here we have some body cam activation again. Pause right there. Really important. You're gonna get 2 cartridges usually on a taser. This is the first time he's trying to shoot one, and it misses. And
dude,
look at where his hand is.
A fucking boss to reach out and grab a taser like that.
Yeah.
And then to hear that pop, that ticking, that is really loud. It's not quiet. Like it'll make the hairs on your neck stand up. So the fact that dude grabbed that taser and held onto it, pretty baller in my opinion. Like,
it's
pretty
very
ballsy.
It's
I
very,
wouldn't
very
do that.
painful. It's very painful,
dude.
And he
that
doesn't seem
intense.
to be. Look at his feet, by the way. I mean, I want you to get a full picture of what's going on here. This dude is grabbing a taser, letting it fire on his hand. It's not stopping him, even slowing him down. And he's been freaking bare feet fighting a cop.
And he
in the
outweighs
rain
that
on
cop
the lawn.
by fucking
He's a
70
big
pounds.
boy, dude. Yeah. So, continue. He's grabbing the taser.
Oh, that is intense, bro. There ain't no way in hell I'd be able to do that. Listen to the breath.
Now, pause it there. We're going to finish the rest. I don't know if there's any more body cam footage, but Axon is a really popular brand. It's probably the leading brand of body cam, and they have a giant Iron Man button that is kind of like the nickname of it in the center. Right. And if it gets depressed, it can turn the body cam back off. So the officer has followed every policy. You begin with empty-handed control, then you escalate to striking, then you turn to an impact weapon or an auxiliary weapon, less lethal, like a taser. And he's activated his dash cam is activated, his body cam has been activated. But in the fight, some people said there was no accident. Listen, you're watching the same. That cop did not have time, opportunity, or ability to turn his own body cam off, to hold down the button while he's fighting.
That dude has been holding his breath for 90 seconds and then just now realized, I've been holding my breath for the last 45 seconds while I've ran, while I've talked on the radio, while I've tried to subdue this guy, and now it's all coming to him, and he's going like this.
Yep.
You know, you can hear that voice.
Yes.
This motherfucker forgot to breathe. You think he's like, oh, let me turn my body camera off before I shoot this guy. Hell no. Guys,
No.
all that guy's thinking about, all this
some.
cop's thinking about is his next breath.
Yes.
What's that?
No, I was just saying, like, I agree with you. You can hear his breath. The fight is, if you've never tried to subdue a stronger human being like that is intent on getting away, and now he's not just intent on getting away. Now he is disarming the police officer. He's taking one of his weapons.
This cop has given the hardest knee blows that he knows how. Again, we're not UFC fighters, all right? We're not in the octagon. It's not two trained octagon fighters in a cage that are resistant to pain, right? Who have been used to being kicked and punched. No, when you're a cop and you knee a civilian, like, you expect there to be some kind of a grunt, some kind of it work. You want it to work because you're like, I just need you as hard as I possibly could, and you're not even fazed by it. That's a scary fucking feeling when you've done everything that you've been trained to do and it's not working. There's no referee.
He looks a
there.
lot bigger. According to the autopsy, he was 5'9" and 150 pounds. I think that maybe they did what he weighed at the time of the autopsy because he was out of maybe lost blood or something, because he looks way bigger than 150 pounds.
No,
like,
there's no way what that guy's on 250.
Yeah.
That dude's got to be 250 because I'm 220.
Ben Crump, the attorney, says, there's no question my client was resisting arrest, but to suggest that he was engaged in a physical fight where he's trying to hurt the officer never happened. Now, that's what the attorney says. We who are looking at this video, all watching him grab the officer's weapon. That is not defensive. That is aggressive. You don't grab an officer's weapon.
You grab a taser, you've got some fucking, I mean, you're only a person from the Congo that has seen some shit grabs a fucking taser.
Yeah. All right, continue on.
No,
more
he good,
kicks.
not resisting nothing, bro.
Listen to the cop's breath.
What's the problem? Let go of him.
Let go of the taser.
To him, bro.
The police department said the body cam was deactivated around this time during the struggle. Okay.
And if you look at the video right there, the cop is laid chest to chest, and the suspect's arm is through the vest area. So I guarantee you that arm is what was depressing the camera video.
Yeah.
15.
Yeah, you can go forward a little bit. The guy's now out of the passenger's now out of the car.
Walking around.
Stop grabbing him like that. No, he good like for real. Yo, you hit him too. Hit that shit, bro.
Another command for the taser. This is at least the third loud verbal command to let go of the taser. Fourth. There's a fourth one.
At this point in the video, the officers pull out his gun and shoots Lyoya.
Do you want me showing that?
Nah, we can leave that off, just in case, because I don't want YouTube to just pull the whole video. I think it's important to leave up. So this fight, now they pieced these camera angles together, but roughly this fight lasted somewhere between close to 2 minutes and 3 minutes, depending on what pieces may have been overlap in the video view. But if you have never been in trying to defend yourself from someone taking your weapon and in a fight in that capacity, then you need to probably take a step back and maybe listen to people who have and understand what that is. He is absolutely exhausted.
Gassed.
And let me tell you this. This is another piece for the cops out there too. And I talked to people at the Grand Rapids PD. I know that they take their training seriously, but like so many departments, they don't train enough. It's a plague And people are going to
and
take
where
that
do you
one
though,
way.
Mike? Where do you train enough? I know like it's easy for guys that have high testosterone levels, guys like you and I who live for this kind of shit. We make that a priority. But what about the guy that doesn't have that? What if the guy? But see, like I sucked in court prep. I don't do good court prep because I felt like it's more important for me to get my gym time in than it is for me to prep court time. Because if I worry about court time, court prep, gym time, shooting accurately, playing, then where's the time to play with my kids, to be a good father, to be a good husband? Where do I lose that? So like, it's easy to say cops need more training. Where do you fit the time in for more training? Because don't forget, we have to go to this like anti-rape, don't rape people class, don't sexually harass your coworkers class, don't be a racist asshole class,
stupid mandatory
autism
training
awareness class, ethos class, ethics class. I mean, it's like every week on your day off, you're going to some kind of other continued education. Where do we find the time to go join a jiu-jitsu gym? Oh, by the way, we're also making $46,000 a year doing this shit.
Well, let me tell you something about this officer that is not on the news, that you'll only hear here at this point. Collegiate athlete, sub 6 minute mile, and still can run a 6 minute mile.
Wow.
Benches 225 for reps. He's in the gym regularly, working out with other officers, training with other officers. He's not in other words, he's not a slouch, right? This isn't a case of this guy doesn't take his fitness seriously, but that just goes to show you that fights like this are different, man. It's not going to Powerhouse Gym and lifting weights around. It's not that simple. This is a very specific type of fight, and we need officers to be trained better in this kind of thing. And I agree with you, Tansey. Like, it's a matter of how we shift our priorities with our training, because instead of going to an in-service training on how to not sexually harass your female cop partners, we should be training on how to actually deal with people like Patrick Lyoya better. So could we take a time machine and say, hey, if we had done X, Y, or Z, this wouldn't have ended this way? We can't say that, but I can say that I can see multiple times in this situation and in this fight where certain knowledge would have been helpful. If nothing else, helpful to end the fight in a way that might not have exhausted him. But that doesn't change the fact, the totality of this circumstance, surrounded by people in an unknown environment with unknown weapons, unknown circumstances.
You know, if there wasn't rules,
with someone taking your weapon,
if there wasn't rules there, and if cops trained like a cage fighter trains, when that guy locked his arms out and he was on all fours, yeah, you could have broke away and football kicked that dude right in the chin and fucking made chiclets out of his teeth.
We're playing by different rules. What a great point. What a great point. We play by different rules. We don't get to just kick someone in the teeth just because we want to. It doesn't work that way. You have
if we could, he wouldn't have been shot. So maybe you should start letting us just freaking end a fight the right way. And
the escalation was empty hands, knee strikes, taser. Empty hand, knee strikes. I remember if the taser was involved then, but more knee strikes from the standing, then taser. Then he grabbed the taser, and there was at least 4 loud verbal warnings. Let go of the taser.
And that is your training. By the way, that is your training for all you Pats out there. That is your training. Hey, man, first, open-handedly try to get the guy subdued. If that doesn't work, go to your tools. Don't close your hands. Don't punch. Go to your tools. Pepper spray or taser. They train taser. I like pepper spray because I think it takes everybody out of the fight. But now, so I've gone empty hand. That didn't work. Knee strikes are great. That's your train. So that's still kind of considered open hand strikes, as long as it's not in the face. And then we've gone to a tool, which you're trained to do. And if your tool doesn't work, you shoot them. Like that, there's nowhere else to go. It's like, oh, my tools didn't work. Let me go back to my knees or my hands. No, that's not how this works. Like this guy had the opportunity to comply from the beginning, to not die. Listen to the cop and you won't die. Go get in the car. Okay. Yes, sir. I'm in the car. Yep. Where's your license? Here it is, sir. Okay. Don't put your hands behind your back. He could have not died by putting his hands behind his back. Don't
Another thing that could have ended this is the ability to have a carotid choke. but those have been taken away.
And I actually saw the cop. I actually saw the cop put his hand around the guy's neck where he brought it over it looked like over his right shoulder and brought it around like he was going to do a cross collar choke. And then you see the cop let go. Like he had the collar, but he let go because I guarantee you, I've been in that same situation where I went,
like, oh,
nope,
I can't
neck's off limits, because that's the kind of shit we're thinking.
I have to try to finish this fight for my life by me playing by the rules, even though this guy doesn't have to play by the rules.
And his three friends that are out there. It's times like these though, when you're on the interwebs and you're looking at these crazy videos and you're downloading videos of people getting shot and you're doing all this really weird research, that you think to yourself, hey man, maybe I don't want the rest of the world to know what I'm Googling right now because the perception is really bad. Well, I know most of you are probably thinking, why don't you just use incognito mode then? Well, let me tell you something. Incognito mode does not hide your activity. It doesn't matter what mode you use or how many times you clear your browsing history. Your internet service provider can still see every single website you've ever visited, just like Jesus. He sees it all. He sees what you're looking at. That's why even when I'm at home, I never go online without using ExpressVPN. Doesn't matter who your internet service provider is. ISPs in the United States can legally sell your information to ad companies. That's why there's so many dildo boxes showing up at my front door. ExpressVPN is an app that reroutes your internet connection through their secure servers so that your ISP can't see the sites you visit, which right now my ISPs are going, what in the world? Because I Googled dildo chairs because I was sending pictures of dildo chairs to Mike earlier. Now my ISPs know that I'm looking at dildo chairs, and that's going to pop up in my Facebook ads for the next 30 days. ExpressVPN, but if I had my ExpressVPN on, it wouldn't happen. ExpressVPN also keeps all of your information secure by encrypting 100% of your data with the most powerful encryption available. Most of the time, I don't even realize I have ExpressVPN on. It runs seamlessly in the background, and it's so easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button, and you are protected. ExpressVPN is available on all your devices, phones, computers, smart TVs, so there's no excuse for you not to be using it. Protect your online activity today with the VPN rated #1 by Business Insider. Visit my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/wolfpack, and you can get an extra 3 months for free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/wolfpack, expressvpn.com/wolfpack to learn more.
There you go, baby. Get it. You can browse the internet from India if you want. There you go. Use a VPN, folks. There's your advice for the day. All right. So what happens here? We're not showing it. Ultimately, he is exhausted and ends up pulling his gun. The taser in this picture that you're seeing, the taser is now underneath Patrick Lyoya because he never let it go. And what is the alternative here? He's completely exhausted. Now, we can criticize that all we want. Well, he should train better, train different to not be exhausted. Okay, we can say that. That's fine. Okay, fair enough. Great. But when you are completely gassed, whatever led you to be completely gassed, and a suspect who has disobeyed every single command and held on while he's being electrocuted, the whole 9 yards, now has your taser, and you are surrounded by people, you have very limited choices at this point. Okay? Your backup's not there yet. You're exhausted. This passenger continues to get closer and closer. There's a man in a driveway. Your suspect has your weapon. If you are tased and incapacitated and your weapon is gone, you're dead.
This is the mindset of a winner. This is the mindset of a winner. I'm going home today. I've tried everything. I'm going home today. Fuck this guy. He's done. He had his opportunity. He had his chance to stop. He now has my fucking taser. I'm going home. That is a mindset. That is a mindset you create. Do you think it's easy to take another person's life? It is absolutely not. The choice to just do that is not made on the fly or on the spot. You hope it is. You hope that you can do it. But no, for a cop, that is a mindset that you have to create. That says, if I get into this situation, this is where I draw the line and this is where I'm shooting somebody, because I am not going to be another cop statistic. I'd rather this dude be a statistic than me be a statistic. I'm going home. I'm going home. I've tried everything with this asshole. I've done everything I can do. This is all I got. Now I'm winning. Sorry, buddy. I'm winning. So, It sucks for the suspect / victim in this case, but the cops got to go home.
Yeah,
And
like
you got that
everybody.
taser? Nah. And I like that mindset in this cop. I like that he said that was his breaking point. He said, this guy's got my taser. That's it. That's where I draw my line. I'm not getting tased and letting this guy just do whatever he wants with me. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Don't mistake us for we're not dancing on Patrick Lyoya's grave. No. He probably I guarantee he had family that loved him.
Wish he had a better life.
Care about him. I wish that Patrick would have made different choices for sure. I wish he would have had an environment where he didn't come from the Congo in a war-torn place and come to Grand Rapids and live in a refugee camp of some kind. And I wish he didn't steal cars. I wish he didn't commit domestic violence. I wish a whole bunch of things. I wish that he would have listened to the sermons at the United Methodist Church and lived them out instead of doing what he did.
Wish he had a better father that raised him not to be a car thief or a woman beater.
Yeah, I just
about that.
Yeah, I wish a lot of this stuff too, but I also wish that officers didn't have to find themselves in situations where they're doing their job and trying to help protect people and bring criminals to justice, and then have to have a fight for their life in the process of doing it. But that happens.
I wish he would have gone to a better state like Florida, where the weather's not so shitty like in Michigan. Like living in a shitty state like Michigan probably makes you want to do shit that gets you killed by cops.
Contributing factor for sure. So this officer is obviously on leave, an internal investigation for excessive force. And for what they do is they turn this over to the state police, outside agency, to come in and investigate. And there's an internal affairs investigation as well on policy and use of force that will be conducted. That's happening right now. He's written his report. He's given his account of what has happened. And now it will shake out. The police department now has said, now that we've released the video, now that the autopsy is out, we are not going to speak on this anymore while the investigation continues. And then it will be determined from there. Of course, people have protested outside the police department. People have doxed the officer, all the typical things that you would expect. Officer does his job, and now he's got an even worse fight on his hands that he has to protect himself and his family from other people who would seek. They hate violence, but then they want to turn to violence as a solution to the violence that they hate. It makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. It sucks. That's the world we live in, but we got to be good cops in a world full of evil. And the work that this officer did, it could there be techniques, training, or circumstances in which that could have ended differently? I think there could have been, but that doesn't mean there would have been. It just means that we have to learn from this, And
then we would be all over the news because he kicked him in the mouth. Well, he wasn't resisting. He wasn't doing anything. And the officer football punted him right in the teeth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which would also be a kick to the head would be considered lethal force.
Deadly force. So he'd still be in the same scenario
you got to understand
that we're in right now. Like it's just,
once a person has grabbed an officer's weapon, anything on that belt, it is now a deadly force situation. It is everything. Show me where the officer escalated this. He did it. Now, why did he have to? Now the pull the autopsy article up. What's kind of wrap this up? And a lot of people.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trained to shoot you in a particular spot. No, I was told to incapacitate you.
Somebody said
that firing your weapon is deadly force. That's what that is. That is, I aim to kill you with this gun. I'm going to kill you with it.
That's what people mistake. Somebody sent me a DM and said, I just wish he would have shot him in a non-lethal place like the arm or leg. And I'm like, do you understand that arteries that are shot in the arm or leg will make you bleed out just as fast as anywhere else in your body?
And now that this guy, you tried to tase this guy and he grabbed your taser when your taser didn't tase him. So now we shoot him in the arm. Where do you think he's going to grab? What do you think he's going to grab for next? Now he's going to grab your gun. Fuck that. I'm ending it. This is over. We're done. You've grabbed my taser. You've taken my taser. I'm killing you.
So the autopsy comes out. If we could look at that, autopsy confirms Patrick Lyoya was shot in the head by a Michigan cop. And what's silly is Dr. Werner Spitz said, "There's no question what killed this young man. ... It was a powerful bullet." As opposed to a really weak bullet. Like what is meant by that? Why would a doctor say that?
If the cop uses like backup gun or whatever, maybe have like a little 22 side piece or something.
Dude,
he'd be like,
about weak
he's
bullet?
like, he was struck in the head by a real pussy bullet.
Yeah. The the whole thing of people saying he was shot
kills
execution style. No, he wasn't. Execution style would have been he's not resisting, he's in handcuffs, he's told to lean forward, and then he gets shot. That's execution style. Stop saying that he was killed execution style. That is nonsense. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So stop saying it did. Carrie McCracken says he didn't grab the taser though. Okay, Carrie.
Video were you not
McCracken,
watching?
Whoa,
damn.
Oh, weird. That's
Wow.
so strange, Carrie McCracken.
I don't know. You can't
look at
argue
what we're
with
looking
that
at. He
all.
didn't grab the taser. No, you're right. He didn't grab the taser, Carrie McCracken.
Keep going
I feel
because he
like
holds on to that
Carrie's name should
taser
be
for
Phil.
a real hot
Phil?
minute.
Phil McCracken. I'm not calling you Carrie. You're Phil, so that your name is Phil McCracken. Everyone is looking at
Damn, that was quick.
Patrick Lyoya holding this taser and fighting for control of the taser from the officer. Anyone who looks at this photo and says, "But Patrick didn't grab his taser," is a complete fool. You are a complete fool, and no matter what I say, it will not change your mind because you are that retarded.
That was funny. He didn't grab the taser. Gosh, man, of all the things that we could argue in this case, that's the stance you want to argue with? Come on, man. You're better than that, Carrie. You're better than that.
When he grabs his gun,
Phil.
yes, he does hit him in the head. Did he intend to shoot him in the head as opposed to the back, as opposed to somewhere else? I don't know. He's exhausted.
Doesn't matter.
This is his last attempt. This is the pinnacle of the use of force. Maybe he pulled the trigger and his wrist was so exhausted it wasn't firm, and he anticipated the shot, and the bullet hit him in the head, and that there was no intent.
Anita
Man.
I know, but yeah, Anita Man. God, you're on fire. Hey, Miss Johnston. Mike is from Michigan, and if you don't know cops, we shit on each other. We shit on firefighters, state troopers, people from Michigan. Because anybody that stands up for Michigan like that, that's that adamant about Michigan, has not been to the rest of the world. You've obviously never been to the coast of Florida.
Florida man, baby. All right, so the autopsy is out. Ben Crump has now said that this is a case of driving while black. We already read that Ben Crump also said his client, who is now deceased, was not fighting the officer. Again, what video is Ben Crump watching? I have no clue. How you can accuse someone of racial profiling is beyond me. What evidence of there is there? You have looked at all of the available evidence. Unless there is a video somewhere in his car or a text message to maybe this cop sent a text message to his friend that says, "Hey guys, it's 8 a.m. You know what that means? It's black driving while black time." And then he went after somebody that was black named Patrick Lyoya. Unless there's a text message like that or a voice message like that, shut your mouth. There's no objective evidence of racism at all in this case. Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself intellectually because there's no evidence of that. What we have given you here today is every bit of evidence that is factually objective here. And we gave you, like I said, nearly 20 years of combined policing experience to color this in so that you understand what happened.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I got a really good night's sleep last night on my ghost bed. And Ghost Bed's been a loyal sponsor of the Drinking Bros for the last 5 years. So I knew that when I woke up this morning, I was ready to give a really good breakdown with Mike on this. And the reason why my sleep was so good on that Ghost Bed is because Ghost Bed is simply, it's just made in the United States of America. The good old USA.
Good old USA.
USA. USA. Every mattress, they have this 20-year warranty so that I can sleep at peace. So that when I wake up, I'm ready to go, baby. Some have a 25-year warranty. You can try them out for 101 nights, not 98 or 99, but 101. If you don't like it, you could send them back with no hard feelings, no carry feelings. One of our favorite parts about Ghost Bed is that each mattress has cooling technology in it so that if you get hot at night, that cooling technology is going to keep you cool. Stay hard while staying cool, baby.
That's how
Ghost Bed also offers bundles so that you can get everything you need. You don't even have to really think about it. Just choose from their 4 mattresses and pick your bundle. Whether you just need a mattress and a frame or you want it all, I want it all.
I want it all.
I want it all.
No, I want it all.
I want it now. Like their cooling pillows and sheets, you can get the best bang for your buck. Right now, Ghost Bed is offering a powerful 40% off Ghost Bed bundle, where you get a mattress and adjustable base, or 30% off of everything if you use that code Drinkin' Bros. It's DRINKIN Bros at ghostbed.com/Drinkin' Bros. $35 a month, 0 down, 0% financing plan for like 60 months. And that's if you have Last Row Lopez credit. Go check out ghostbed.com/Drinkin' Bros. Sleep so good, it's scary. Ooh.
Carrie, Phil McCracken said that the video that has been passed around saying he doesn't have your taser. Yeah, of course the witness was saying that. That was his buddy in the car. Yeah, well, and we just watched that video. We showed you the video you're talking about. It was a piece of our breakdown.
Can't do this anymore. If people just like if I show you,
he also said he's not resisting when he was.
If I show you that this coffee mug is a black coffee mug with a
That's
blue and black footprint on it, a dog's print on it from thin blue canine. If I physically show you this, and people still say that that's not a black mug, that is a white mug with a cat's paw on it, there's nothing I can do for you at that point. I can't.
Yeah, what are you going to do? How do you argue? You can't convince a brick wall that they should agree with you. I don't know.
No, there's nothing else I can do here. I just have to end it. Just like this officer did. There's nothing else. He did everything he could do to get this guy to comply.
Maybe Carrie will
At the end of the day,
the new Amber.
Sometimes you just got to end it.
I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys, thanks for joining us on this episode, our Friday breakdowns. Again, we have 4 shows a week. Monday, Off the Cuff. Tuesday, Night Shift, which is broadcast live at 8 p.m. on
Linda
our YouTube
Krager's
channel.
mom is a white mug.
Thursday is
Take
Last
that,
Call
Linda.
with Tansey.
Just kidding, Linda.
Giving you all the pop culture you need to be a normal person on the weekend. And Fridays is our flagship show, baby, Failure to Stop, where we break down cases current, past.
Hit that like button.
Maybe
hammer that like button. Hammer it so hard.
Hammer it. If you're on YouTube, please like this video right now. Drop a comment on it and share it with somebody. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. We love you guys. Wolfpack in the house. We ran out of time we'll talk about the vacant Wolfpack position next episode because we got to save that one. It's good, but we got to go.
Let's get out of here.
Guns up, giddy up.
See you guys.